Hey guys, it's History Behind the Warrior, and welcome to another Mortal Kombat video. Now today in my next installment of my What's the Difference series, I'll be talking about the red mystic ninja of the series, Ermac. Now for those of you who are kind of unfamiliar with this What's the Difference series, it's one that I've been running on my channel now, where I take a character from the Mortal Kombat universe, and we compare the two different timeline counterparts that live in both the old timeline and the new timeline. By doing so, we can in fact see how far this character has come, as well as the changes and alterations they've undergone over time. So I'll notably be talking about a lot of stuff that happened in the original timeline, as well as major events that may have happened to this certain individual in the new one, as we can draw comparisons and differences and ultimately understand the changes this character has undergone. Now, a tradition with this series, let's actually start talking about the similarities first before we get onto their differences. Now first off, Ermac is a somewhat child of Shao Kahn. Allow me to elaborate. Ermac isn't exactly a single normal individual. He's someone that's comprised and made up of actual souls. Ermac was kind of a project for Shao Kahn, as since he's a master of the dark arts, he was playing God and decided to try and create a being of his own, and of course he was successful as he did create Ermac. So naturally upon his creation he did side with his master and battled against Earthrealm, since it was kind of in his nature at that point. Now upon his master's defeat in the third Mortal Kombat game, Ermac in both timeline iterations do actually break away from his control, but it is widely different in both timelines as to what they do after leaving Shao Kahn, and that is where the noticeable differences do seem to happen. As you see in the first 3 or 4 original Mortal Kombat games, the game wasn't grounded too much in its story. It was more or less an addition to the side with a really good and fun fighting game series. So in the first few games, many of the combatants didn't really have any character. Ermac's personality wasn't really put on display till later games, and this is where the differences start to surface. With the different styles of storytelling, we're notably able to kind of explore a lot more now than we did back then, especially since we've kind of strayed away from the original tech style of telling a story, with it being replaced with kind of a full-blown cinematic film. Now straight away, let's actually start talking about differences, as the Ermacs that live in 2 different timelines are in fact very different to one another. So let's talk about the first big difference between the two. In the rebooted MK9 story, Ermac makes his first appearance in the Mortal Kombat 1 section of the game, but if we look back at the original timeline, Ermac wasn't created up until the third and final installment of the somewhat original trilogy. So Ermac appears way earlier in the new timeline than he did in the old, meaning that any of the fights he had from MK1 up to 3 in MK9 are completely new additions to his story. And after Shao Kahn's defeat, the original Ermac just kind of breaks away from the whole Outworld thing and goes off in his own direction doing his own thing, whereas in the new timeline, Ermac continues to serve Outworld by serving Mileena, as she is the somewhat daughter of Shao Kahn. But of course during this time there's a civil war between herself and Kotal, which is a new plot arc that didn't exist in the original timeline, so he himself kind of does play a hand in this, as he's quite involved with the civil war and is a player in the Mortal Kombat X comic book series. Of course, if you are up to date with the new timeline, you know that Ermac doesn't really serve under Mileena for too long, as he wishes to do what he believes is best for Outworld, and that is by siding with Kotal. So he does betray her. Now here are where things get really interesting and kind of weird canon wise. Ermac played a part in helping out Ken Shi. As you see, after his reveal in Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance, Ken Shi was on his own personal revenge mission against Shang Tsung, as the sorcerer was responsible for blinding him. Now during his travels he did come across Ermac, and Ermac was in fact the one to teach him telekinesis. Since Ermac himself was a mystic individual, he decided to pass his teachings on to Ken Shi, as he wanted Ken Shi to succeed on his personal vendetta. Now in the rebooted timeline, this doesn't seem to be the case at all, as Ken Shi makes his appearance in the Mortal Kombat universe much earlier than his other timeline counterpart, and appears in MK9 as DLC, having seemingly learnt telekinesis there. So this is actually an alteration from what we know in the original timeline too, as Ermac would have been serving under Shao Kahn during this time. And on top of this, in the original story, Ermac kind of became a hero. As you see, during the Deception arc, Onaga was able to enslave many Earthrealmers under him as revenants. This included the likes of Kitana, Johnny Cage, Sonya Blade, and many other fighters. Knowing how dangerous Onaga could be just by himself, Ermac decided to team up with the likes of the spirit of Liu Kang and the Native American shaman Nightwolf. So the trio in the original timeline, with some assistance from Sejenko, were in fact able to defeat Onaga and more or less save all the realms, because when Onaga did return he wanted to merge all of the realms realms together, effectively creating the one being. Now of course I can't really compare this Ermac's actions compared to the new one, as in the new timeline we aren't quite up to Mortal Kombat Deception just yet, but I'm bringing this up because in the new timeline, Ermac in the story kind of plays more of an antagonistic role. Since we are playing from the perspective of the special forces, he isn't really a villain, but more of an obstacle we have to get past on many different occasions. Of course the lines of good and evil are kind of getting blurred now, so Ermac can kind of be seen as a villain from the special forces perspective, but he believes that what he's doing in his own right is what's best for Outworld. So it's kind of interesting and weird what they're doing with Ermac here. But yeah, that more or less does wrap up all of the differences with Ermac, guys. I hope you all enjoy it, as you can all kind of see the massive and different take they've had on this character. I mean, even in terms of design, he's looking more like a magical-esque being than any of his other previous iterations. So I am most certainly very interested to see what they kind of do with him here. But yeah, that more or less does wrap it up for this video. I do hope you enjoyed it, guys. I do apologize if this is kind of short compared to my other episodes, but there weren't really many similarities to work here with Ermac, as really he kind of plays more of a side character role. But of course in MK11, if it's played from Outworld's perspective, we could see a lot more from him here and kind of see how he does tick properly. Of course that's me hoping that his arcade ladder ending isn't kind of canon or real, where he's seemingly drained of his life force by Shang Tsung, but I guess we just have to wait and see what happens there. Now I don't have a plan for next week's episode. I'm kind of torn between Johnny Cage, Sonya Blade and Ken Shi, but obviously I haven't decided, so down in the comments below let me know who you want to hear me talk about next, as it will give me a rough idea of what you guys want to see. So you know where that comment section is, guys. And before this video does wrap up, I do want to say a massive thank you to everyone who supported this channel. We're actually past 200,000 subscribers now, which is absolutely amazing, and I'll be making a video talking about it tomorrow, so please do keep an eye out for that. It's going to be a bit of a fun video. Now before this video wraps up, guys, if possible, let's try getting it to about 500 likes. It's a great way of helping out this channel since YouTube's ad system is broken as hell, so by giving it a thumbs up it helps out a ton. And if you want to go that extra step, we also have a Patreon set up, and a link for it will be down in the description below. Anyway guys, as always, please comment, like, subscribe and share this video with everyone you know. Please take care, and I'll see you all next time.